Welcome into the Fantasy Advantage. I apologize for my absence as of late. I did not mean to do that. It's been really busy. I've been trying to get this first video out for the Fantasy Sports Advice Network site. Finally launched it. I'm going to put a link down to that video below. Go check it out. It's a new podcast that I'm a part of. I'm co-hosting that with a good buddy of mine. I'll put his down here. But yeah. This is the first week of the start sits that I really want to get into. I'm going to try to put one of these out every week throughout the season. Maybe do something with waivers as well. But I'm going to start with some start sits. And it's kind of a new thing I'm starting called sneaky starts. It's not the usual like big name start sits. You're going to start all of those like big name guys, the guys you drafted in the first like 5 to 6 rounds. You're not you drafted them to play them like every week. So I'm going for more like the, if you waited on quarterback to get one late, or like the second quarterback in your super flex spot, then your like flex, kind of tough decisions in your flex position. And then, if you didn't get one of like the top 5, 6 tight ends, and then the I might throw some defenses in here just for a little fun as well. But to get started, I'm just going to drop it down. I'm going to drop it like it's hot. And we're going to get right into this. First player is a start, and it's Keon Coleman. Now, I know he's nursing a bit of a groin injury, but so far it seems like there's no setbacks really, so he should be fine. Something that a lot of people don't know is Baltimore sneakily allowed the second most yards per game in passing last year, which when you think about that, like you don't see it because they have a good defense, but they're allowing people to catch the ball a lot on them. So, especially because like I think it's going to be a shootout. It's going to be Sunday Night Football, big game, a lot of points scored. It's the first game of the week for them, or the year for them. And there's always kind of weird stuff. Defenses kind of have a slow start. They tend to. And I do think that Josh Allen is going to also be looking to make a statement with this game. They're the underdogs at home, which is crazy. I don't think the Bills deserve that. And I think Josh is going to want to prove why that should not be the case. So he's going to be looking to make a lot of plays. Keon Coleman getting a second year in the system, and I think he's going to be. Josh Palmer is going to help open some things up on his side of the field, and he's going to get a lot of red zone targets. So I see him scoring at least one touchdown in this game, and he's really. I think this is where he's going to really show what he can bring to the Bills' offense. In my opinion, I would start him with full confidence in your flex spot and have zero issues. On the other side of this, for my wide receiver sit this week, I'm sorry because I know he's a my guy, but it's Calvin Ridley. It's just so hard in this first week matchup. Cam Ward and the Tennessee offense drew such a terrible, terrible first week matchup, man. They got the Broncos defense. Surtain is going to be shadowing Ridley, and I'm sure Ward will be seeing a lot of pressure in his face because they're going to want to get him. They're going to want to keep him out off rhythm. They aren't going to want him settled in the pocket. And that defensive line is really great, and it's going to just be a really, really tough outing. After this week, I'm fully in on Ridley. I think he's going to do just fine. Like I said, he is a my guy for a reason. But as a whole, that Tennessee offense versus that Denver defense in week 1, Cam Ward's first game, I find it really hard for Ridley to succeed in this one. After this, though, I think they'll be fine. Like I said, they just drew a really, really crappy first matchup. But yeah, this week and in my home league, my main league, I have Ridley, and I did sit him for Igbuka because I drafted Igbuka. I think that's the better option in that situation. All right, moving on to running back. This one I think is going to surprise some people, and I don't think that it should. The sneaky running back matchup for me is Austin Eckler. Look, the Giants were bottom 5 against the run last year, and yes, their front 7 got bolstered up a little bit, of course, but they still had a pretty solid front seven last year, and they weren't great against the run. Everyone getting crazy about JCM or Bill. They need to tone it down a notch. Eckler is the vet who's proved that he's good and can play in this league. He's been a fantasy darling a few times, He's very good. Last year when he played well. Every time we touched the ball, good things happened. I think the reason that they were okay, that Washington was okay with letting Brian Robinson go, is because they knew that they had Eckler. And JCM he'll get some touches, but Eckler's going to lead that backfield. He is the RB1 on the depth chart, which I know like week 1 depth charts are kind of weird, but usually like the starter, the number 1 in the spot, is generally looked at that way, at least for the first handful of weeks, right? He's also going to get a lot of dump offs when the Giants are bringing that pressure. I think he's going to be a little, escape valve for Daniels if he's getting a lot of pressure coming into his face. I think Eckler's going to be just going to be a little safety valve for Daniels. So I see him getting some work, plenty of work this week, and leading that backfield. My running back sit this week is kind of, I feel like might be a little bit of a bold call to some people. It's Breece Hall. There's a few issues with him. He's going up against the Steelers defense that's very stout, especially against the run. They were the 6th best D against the run last year, and obviously, not a whole lot changed with them. The new head coach, Aaron Glenn, for the Jets, he wants to instill a 1A, 1B situation, bringing in, having Braylon Allen be that 1B guy. But Braylon Allen was also a shining star in camp this year. I don't think that Allen has necessarily a terrible year. I just don't know. Like, this first matchup is really scary for me because of all of the situations that have been going on in the offseason for him, with the contract drama and talking about him not being the new staff's guy, and they like Braylon Allen. They want to instill the new offense, and I do think that they want to try to have that similar Lions offense with the Gibbs and Montgomery thing. So I'm nervous about Hall to start the season, especially against this defense. I would probably sit Breece Hall in this one. If you have a better option or someone with a better situation to play just for this week, maybe take it easy on Hall and then see what happens. And if everything looks good after this week, then sure, then start him each week. But this one, I want to sit him. All right, moving on to the quarterback position. My little sneaky QB matchup, it'd be Trevor Lawrence going up against the Panthers. The Panthers defense last year got absolutely torched in a lot of different ways, and they gave up the most passing touchdowns with 35. It's a lot of touchdowns. That's, a top 5 quarterback if they played him every week, right? Trevor Lawrence is going to he's going to feast this week. He's definitely going to feast. In my main home league, I have Fields, but I went and I grabbed Lawrence. You can get Lawrence off of your waiver wire and play him. And just for this week, you can rent him for a week against that Carolina defense, and he's going to feast. There's not a whole lot that changed on the defense for the Panthers, so that's why I don't see a lot. I don't like to go too crazy off of last year's stats for defenses, but when there's not a ton of things that have changed, that's when I kind of lean on that still. BTJ being in his second year and Hunter there, Travis Hunter getting drafted, on top of Parker Washington being a great third option. He was showing out a little bit last year. Lawrence should definitely ball. And then you've got to include Liam Cohen coming onto the team, becoming the new head coach, and he's going to instill an offense that he had kind of like the Bucs offense last year. And I think that against a really soft defense like the Panthers, Trevor Lawrence is going to absolutely shine. Now, a second ago, I brought up Fields, and this is why. Justin Fields is my sit this week. Again, I know, I'm sorry, he isn't my guy. I apologize if that got you to draft him. it's like I said with Breece Hall, it's that Steelers defense. I mean, they're in the top half of pretty much every category, and they're going to be bringing the heat as hard as they can on Fields. They're going to keep him from being comfortable in every way possible, and they have the means to do so. And it's Justin Fields coming into a new system, a new head coach. It's his first game against a really tough defense. I just see things not going well for him this week. If he manages to get his legs involved, then I think like he could be okay. The thing is like I said earlier, the defense, the Steelers D against the run was top 6. So it's just a scary matchup for the first week. I think he settles in after a week or two and really starts to pop, which is why he's my guy. But again, I drafted him, but I just went and grabbed Trevor Lawrence this week just for this week, to see how Fields handles this Steelers defense. And if he flourishes and I'm wrong, then he's a start every week. We're all good on Fields, but I'm holding on to my expectations for this week and against a hard defense, new system. So Justin Fields is my quarterback sit of the week. Now the tight end position is a little tough when it comes to going outside of like the top 5 or 6. So I try to really look at like what kind of matchups look really, really tasty if you're in that back half of the tight end draft, like you drafted guys later and waited, like Hunter Henry being my guy. He is the guy that I have for a sneaky week 1 matchup. So the Raiders gave up the 4th most fantasy points to tight ends last year, which is really great, right? And Hunter is someone that I think May really leans on when he needs it the most. And he had kind of a weird year last year. He missed a couple games. I think that the whole team being together again in the system, especially like the two that were together last year and this year that will be playing and starting, Hunter Henry and Drake May. The offense as a whole got a lot better. The receivers are going to take a little more attention. I honestly think that Hunter Henry is such a sneaky play this week to potentially win you your matchup. I'm not saying he'll go for a nuke, but I think he gives you that positional edge this week against a defense that's not so great against tight ends. It's an okay defense as a whole anyway, so I do think that the Pats offense is definitely being slept on for the first week. But yeah, Hunter Henry just easily my sneaky start for tight ends for this week. Now the guy that I will not be playing or wouldn't be playing is Sam Laporta. It's known that I'm not a big Laporta guy. There's a few reasons for that. Too many mouths to feed in that offense, and with the O-line getting a bit worse and a new OC, there's going to be a lot of changes, and I think somebody in this offense is going to have to suffer. And odds on favorite for me is Sam Laporta. They keep raving about how much they want to get J-Mo the ball. They keep raving about Amon-Ra. Everyone's raving about Amon-Ra. He's going to be fed. And then you've got Gibbs and you've got Isaac Tesla, and you're going to have Montgomery when you're like in the red zone. There's just not a lot of space, in my opinion, for Sam Laporta to succeed kind of in general this year, but especially in this first matchup. When you look at the numbers against Green Bay in his career, he's only had 1 good game. He's actually only had a game where you were happy with starting him once in the 4 games that he's played against the Packers. Last year, they averaged 6.67 fantasy points per game given up to tight ends. And with the addition of Parsons, bringing pressure to Goff with that weakened O-line, who historically Goff does not do well against pressure. His numbers are drastically lower against pressure versus not. Laporta's going to suffer, and I think as a whole this year he's going to be the guy who suffers, but especially, like I said, in this week against Green Bay. A couple of defenses just to toss in there that I like this week that aren't super heavily rostered. I do think the Jets defense versus the Steelers is good. Aaron Glenn is a good coach, a good defensive coach. I think that this defense is also stacked with a good roster, and Aaron Rodgers' first game with the Steelers, I think, will be a little bit tough He hasn't settled into like his guy yet. I do think the Jets rattle them a bit, and I think that they hold up pretty well. They make a couple good plays and can help boost your team this week. Third one or second team would be the Bengals versus the Browns. The Bengals defense is disgusting, I know, but look at their matchups against Cleveland last year and like beforehand. They usually always play very well against Cleveland. So the Bengals are somebody that I'm willing to start in this first week, especially now that they kept Trey Hendrickson. And the Cardinals versus the Saints. That Saints offense is so unknown. You don't really know who's going to be the guy. Is Rattler going to do it this year? We don't know yet. And the Cards got a very good overhaul with their defense, with a lot of great additions in the offseason. And on top of that, speaking, with the Saints offense being so unknown, they're predicted to be bottom 5 this year. That's it. That is the first of many start sits for the weeks. I'm going to try to make sure I get these out every week. I'll probably start doing them more on Fridays if I can. It's going to be tough to make it happen for Thursdays with my other content I got to do for fantasy sports advice, but I'm going to do everything I can to make sure I get these videos out and help you guys win your leagues. So again, thank you for watching and joining me in this journey of this season. It's been a really great off season. I appreciate all the love. Follow me on X. I'm going to put my ad up here. I'm going to put some stuff down for the Fantasy Sports Advice Network website. You can go to the site. You can go and become a premium member. There's a lot of really cool things that come with that. But yeah, so again, I say it every time, like 30 times at the end of my videos, but thank you. I appreciate you spending time here. Good luck this week.